Obviously, extremely disappointed, disappointing loss, and like we just talked about as a team, we didn't deserve to win that game. You know, regardless of what happened at the end of the game in terms of having a chance, we didn't deserve to win that ball game, and credit to South Carolina State. They came in and beat us.
All right, Coach, do you feel like they took South Carolina State lightly, or what do you think of that?
Yeah, someone asked me that yesterday, and I said we have no reason to ever take anyone lightly. And no, I don't think we took it lightly. Actually came out, got off to a decent start in the game. I don't know if maybe getting off to a good start, maybe guys' minds went elsewhere or our execution started. But this has nothing to do with what happened on the offensive end. I mean, our numbers on offense were plenty good enough to win the game today. We didn't defend, and in the end of the day, we didn't defend, and they were the hungrier team. They're coming in 0-7. We were coming in off of a loss. So like I told the guys, both teams are coming in 0-1. We both lost our last game, and and we weren't that tonight. They were the hungrier team.
Coach, coming into this game, South Carolina State didn't have great numbers when it came from shooting beyond the arc. Did that kind of catch you guys by surprise tonight? Got you so effective?
Basketball, these are all good players, and we've watched tape on them and seen them, and they're a team that had 4 or 5 guys that were averaging between 6 and 10 points, but they had multiple guys go off for double-digit games. They've been on the road. They weren't going to be intimidated. They weren't going to be, at all coming on the road here. And that's just because they've been on the road so much. They've been on the road. They've had every game has been on the road. So they've developed, a thick skin for being on the road. And I think they shot the ball well. I think our defense had something to do with it in not being as aggressive as it needs to be in terms of guarding beyond the three-point line. But you give them credit. They made shots, and they'll do it again. They'll make shots again this season. But just because the numbers weren't what they have been tonight, we knew that was a good team with some guards that could really score the basketball.
After some makes on your end, it seemed like the defense was just kind of out of sorts at times too. Is that just part of maybe just growing as a team and kind of figuring out how to play when you're in transition like that?
Yeah, transition defense is always a challenge when you play a team full of guards because they had anybody bring the ball up. They didn't have the same people taking it out every time. And, that can sometimes cause those mismatches to happen. You end up matching up on different people, but, that's basketball. That's what we've played other teams that have done that, but what you give South Carolina State credit for is they got that ball out quick and they pushed it up the floor, and we have to be better in our matchups in transition defense, and we'll definitely work on that.
Because they're going to be growing pains. Is this one of those learning experiences your guys maybe have to go through the hard way to learn from it?
I hope so. I hope looking back it will be. It doesn't feel like that right now. I mean, right now it feels like we squandered an opportunity. To win a basketball game. We squandered an opportunity to get better. And, I think we got what we deserved. We didn't deserve to win that game tonight, the way we played.
How did you feel about you guys' shot selection in this game?
We told the guys going into the game that we'd have the opportunity to really play at the rim. So we started the game off really with an emphasis on driving the basketball and throwing the basketball inside. And if you look at it, we got the ball inside quite a bit into Brandon and into Luigi. It didn't equate always to what we wanted it to. You hope you can pick up some fouls or you hope you can get, some baskets around the rim from your post players. It didn't happen tonight, and there'll be nights that happens. Then I thought there was a junction of the game where we started settling for shots behind the arc. I mean, we took 22 tonight. That's not a ridiculous amount of threes. We've had games where we've taken more. But I thought what happened was instead of keeping our foot down on the gas, driving the basketball, continue to throw it in, we kind of abandoned that for a little bit. And then it came back in the second half, and obviously we were at the rim again. But like I told the guys, once you give a team momentum and you allow them to feel comfortable, I mean, you can't just assume you're going to be able to get it back. And I think, and hopefully if we learned any lesson, that they learned that at least.
You guys had assists on, I think, 21 of 27 shots today. Like, even when the offense is a little streaky, do you like seeing that?
Yeah, we talk about having a high assist to field goal percentage ratio in terms of, assists to made baskets. But, again, I think a lot of that came in transition. I think as much as they probably hurt us a few times, I think we actually got out in transition quite a bit, and that's what allowed us to cut the lead from 11 down to 3 or 2, whatever it was. But, we're always going to preach sharing the ball. The ball wasn't going in the basket tonight, and like I've always told the guys, if we try and win games based on if the ball goes in the basket, we're going to be disappointed a lot more than we're going to have that winning feel in the locker room. And defensively is where we lost this game tonight. And we just talked about that, and we're going to find a group of guys, and this program and this team is going to defend at a high level. And right now, we're not anywhere near where we need to be. So in terms of growing pains, that's the growing pain that we're feeling right now.
Do you feel like that's more effort-based or just like learning the defense at this time?
I think the guys know the defense. I don't expect them to be, any kind of, savant or masters in terms of the schemes that we're trying to do. But yes, I do think there's a piece of it that is just energy, intensity related. We came out of halftime. Big play. We came out of halftime. We talked about some things in the locker room, and I think one of the first baskets we gave up out of halftime was an offensive rebound. And those are the ones that if you allow a team that feels good going into halftime and you allow them to come out in the second half, they made one tough shot, they made a pull-up, really tough shot, we didn't score, and they come down and they get an offensive rebound. The next thing you know, we're back down 8, 9, and then it ballooned up to 11 really quickly before we had to call a timeout. So, the tape will tell. When I watch the film, that will tell if it was, more execution-based or more effort-based. But defense is effort. So I think when defense isn't right, I'm going to lean on that the effort wasn't right.
There's a real bright spot tonight. You talk about playing at the rim. He did that in the second half.
Yeah, he did. He got out in transition a lot, and he gives us a defensive versatility too. He did have a couple coverages. Those are the ones I can live with. When a freshman is supposed to be in a switching defense or supposed to execute a certain ball screen coverage, and maybe he messes up one of those coverages. That's what you can live with freshmen, because that's a growth curve that they got to go through. But what you can't have happen is effort and mistakes. And so, to your point, I think Ezra played really hard on defense. I think he'll learn with some of the mistakes, the coverages-wise, that happened. And I think he learned that if he runs the floor, he can get out in transition for us. And that was probably where he got most of his baskets.
Had you seen that building for him, maybe behind the scenes at all, just Ezra's performance?
You know what? We went into the Old Dominion game, and Ezra had a good practice since we came back from Florida. He had one good game out there where he really did. He didn't play versus Indiana State, and then he played in one of the next games. I think it was Toledo he played. So going in the Old Dominion game, he had actually earned an opportunity. And in the Old Dominion game, he had 4 turnovers. And Val Pinedo had 3. So of our 16 turnovers in Norfolk, 7 of them came from our reserve post players. So, today we went with Luigi to start the game. And the way the game shifted, Luigi didn't do anything wrong. Luigi played well. I liked the energy that Luigi brought. But because we had to go to a switching physical defense where we could get out and pressure a little bit more, Ezra's more suited for that. So Ezra came in and he took advantage of it. But no, yes, to answer your question, I think Ezra has been doing really well in practice. And he's working hard. He's concentrating. He's coming in and watching extra film. He's doing what he thinks he needs to do to give himself a better opportunity, and it paid off for him a little bit tonight. It's just unfortunate, it happened in a loss for us.
Anything else? All right,
Thank you, guys.